don't know how to make a Tibetan bowl fun. That's my attempt. Today is October the 19th, 2025. And this is the 5th video in a series promoting my new book that'll be out in 3 weeks called 8 Steps to Awakening Your Highest Potential. So this video is going to discuss music as a tool for evolution, or not, and we'll put it into a bigger paradigm in looking at dimensions. So the details of why Tibetan bowls or crystalline bowls, quartz crystal bowls help with healing, you'll find in 2 Substack articles that I'll attach to this video. But basically, the Tibetan bowls are made of metal, 7 different metals for the 7 different planets that they knew at the time, and they're a layered harmonic. So when they hook up an ECG to your brain, electrodes, they will see how you go from an alpha state that we've talked about in the previous videos, an alert state, to a delta state, waves, which is a deep sleep or a deeper sleep. So they can see, science can see why the Tibetan bowls help with a deeper meditation. And they have a lower tone, so they will resonate and often help with deeper trauma into tissues. So I think I'll also, that reminds me, I did a video where I was playing the different types of bowls. So I'll attach that video here and you can see that for yourself. And then the crystalline bowls bring you again from the deep delta brain waves to theta and even gamma. So like that's the Tibetan monks, when they're levitating, they're at kind of a gamma state. But you'll see the difference in there. I won't talk about that in this video. Also in those articles, you'll see how in the 1940s, 1938 to 40, they changed the bass frequency, the pitch of our music from 432, which was, let's say, a resonant octave of our natural frequencies. So it resonated with, like I said, the Sherman resonance of the Earth, or the music of the spheres, because each planet has a different resonance. The bee's wings, right? They have a natural frequency. Natural water running in the spring has a natural frequency. So that resonated with 432 hertz. But when they changed the pitch of the music to 440, it was like it created resistance in our body, where we're no longer resonating with natural frequencies, we're slightly displaced from it. So many think that this was, an absolute intentional thing to disconnect humans from our natural frequency. And now we see a swing back through shamanic healing, through yogis, through Reiki, through sound healing. And in that article, in one of those articles, there's a great video, and it's called Ancient Egyptian Alchemy of Sound Healing, where they put sound healing into a bigger paradigm of astrology and the cosmos and different instruments. It was just amazing to me. So that's included in the article. So have a look through the article and then click through my references that you can see where I got the information, and then there's a whole other doorway that can open for you. But today what I'd like to talk about is the different dimensions. And most of the information that I'm going to present, I was supported by this book, The Alchemy of 9 Dimensions, Barbara Hand Clow and Jerry Clow, her husband, Activating the Full Spectrum of Consciousness. So this was an amazing book. I'd highly recommend it. It's one that I've recommended in my book, and I've used some of her information. And what I'm going to present here is based on some of the work that I learned from her book. But before I before I take the veil off the information, I would just like to thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of this week journey with me. It started initially, to be honest, just wanting to market my book. I have a 6-month payment plan to pay off the self-publishing option. So I didn't have a lot of resources left for marketing. So these little videos are part of, that my marketing let's say, marketing project that has a low budget. But what I've gained from it is so much more than that. And just the interaction with you and the emails that I've gotten, such lovely emails, and our inner book circle now. I've had a number of people sign up to have the product guide of the different products I've suggested, and also the resources. So, and I will have some complimentary digital copies. So some people have even already volunteered to read the book and then do an Amazon review and give me a little promotion. So thank you. That opens my heart. And again, it's helped me because stories and ideas that come to me in our discussions and in our conversations here on Facebook and the other medias have really helped. And I remember stories that maybe I should have shared in the book. So I'm going to drive my publisher crazy, I'm sure, changing things. But that's it. It's an organic process. So thank you. And I had a lovely email from a man last night who I don't know, but he said, just want to thank you because the videos have really made a difference in my life already. So even that one comment makes it all worth it, right? So let's get started here. I'm gonna move this in first, just so I can explain it, and then let's just see if I can move this out of the way, my veil. I'm gonna turn off the light here for a moment so you don't get the glare, and I think you'll be able to see that. Maybe I'll bring it up a little bit. So this is the iron core of the earth. This is the first dimension. The second dimension happens between the iron core of the earth and the earth's crust. The third dimension is you on the earth, and this is, within a linear space and time. The fourth dimension are the controllers. And this is ran by the Anunnaki. And it's the world of myths and archetypes, the collective mindset. So here is a government building with lots of different doors. This is a church. This is the music and entertainment industry. And the collective mindset, this is all in the fourth dimension. The fifth dimension, again, is ruled by the Palladians. This is about heart. And this is how, when I talked about gratitude, this is how you can skip past the controllers and go right to the fifth dimension through your heart. The sixth dimension is geometry, sacred geometry, and the seventh dimension is light through sound. So this is, we'll talk about that as we go through. But then there's other dimensions, 8+, but for today's video, we'll just talk about it in 7 dimensions. Now I can refer to it and maybe you'll be able to see it and I can talk about it. So you on the earth in 3D, let's see if I can bring this back on again. You on the earth in 3D are controlled like an umbrella, right? By these other forces, governments, churches, the entertainment industry. I'm actually going to post another video underneath this one. That I watched today. Thank you to my friend John for sending it, by Mark Devlin. And Jason Christoff talks a lot about him too. He's done a lot of research in music, mind control, and military incentives, let's say, and how music can be used to elevate your consciousness, or it can be used to dumb you down and disconnect you from your natural frequencies. So the thing about this fourth dimension is that it has duality, and that that canopy or that umbrella can be used to create or destroy. So again, as I said, as we opened, music can elevate your consciousness, or it can, again, keep you captive. So once you know that, then you can make smarter decisions, right? It's not to say all music and entertainment is mind control. No, I like a good romantic comedy. I think it elevates my, elevates my vibration. And music, the sound baths that I'm doing on the full moon now with a group of friends, I really feel are helping us all kind of elevate to a different consciousness. But if you're listening to certain types of music, and Mark Devlin will go over that, it can hold you back. It can actually irritate your system. And again, it's a mind-controlled device because of the words and the frequencies that they're using. Just like the churches. Church, bad or good? I think it makes good people better and bad people worse. Somebody said that quote once, right? The church itself was set up as a control mechanism, but the philosophy and some of the sacred texts are beautiful. So the first Bibles, and I learned this from the Clan Mother documents, the first Bibles in 451 AD referred to the Great Spirit, the sons and daughters of the Great Spirit. There's the balance, right? The masculine and feminine. After that, much later, the Bibles, the sacred texts, were changed. The wording was changed, and the women were wrote out of the Bible. Then it became God, the Father, and the Son. What happened to the women? They disappeared. Mary Magdalene became a prostitute, and Mary, Jesus' mother, was, just sort of a sidekick. They wrote the women out of the Bible. So again, that's a control mechanism by the patriarch, you see, to disconnect us. The original sacred texts held a lot of wisdom, and they weren't just stories. They were actually the personification of what was happening in the stars. So we don't want to throw out, the baby with the bathwater. You want to pick out the information, and Santos Bonacci, who's an astrotheologist, looks at that. He looks at biblical texts from let's say, a personification of the cosmos. And I talked about that in the last video, how that Kundalini energy he refers to as the Christos, or the Christos oil, right? Where the Christ is within you. So again, as I mentioned before, if you only know one discipline, only medicine, and you don't know anything else, your tools are going to be drugs and surgery, because that's all you know. If you only know Christianity, maybe you're going to be taking the Bible literally, because you have no idea about astrology or, a greater cosmic intention. If you only know astrology, but you're not putting it back into kind of a spiritual, practical practice, then it's a disconnect. So whether it's a discipline like medicine, or if it's a religion, or if it's government, there's a incentive, right, to work both ways. I have two thoughts now that are going through my mind. So is music and entertainment bad? No. Is it good? No. It depends on your choice, right, of music. But if you don't know the plan of mind control, then you'll be using your phone and you'll be using wireless devices, and you'll think you're just tech savvy instead of being mind controlled. And then religion, the same thing. And I used to say this, God bless you, until Clan Mother Karen slapped me on the hands and she said, don't say that to me, please. She understood, right? She'd read the Clan Mother documents and understood that the word God was actually an idea put in by the patriarch, and that the Great Spirit integrates the divine masculine and feminine. So is religion good or bad? It depends, right? It can be used for both. Is government bad? Yes, no. No, you have to have the duality, right? Because we're in the fourth dimension. So there has to be some goodness, right, in governance. But government was set up, just the word government, to govern your mind. That's what it means. So it's an institution, a corporation, set up for those who can't govern themselves. So again, once you can see that veil that they have over you, then you can make smarter choices within it. That's sovereignty. That's what sovereignty is. Knowing the information so you can make a choice for you. Not surrendering your power to a consciousness less than your own. You see, the Anunnaki, or this fourth dimension, is underneath the fifth. We have the fifth dimension within us. What's the fifth dimension? Our heart. And this is why in the last video I talked about finding gratitude in any circumstance that you've found yourself in your life. If you're holding emotion, they have you trapped. Emotion is dense. Your emotion is trapped in here. The only way that you can come out, and of that umbrella, you know, that you can come out and then you're free off into the cosmos, is through your heart. So anything that you haven't been grateful for will hold you back. And it holds you, it traps you in the matrix. So I think that is an important point. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about there? So yes, when you know this information, it helps guide your expectations. You're not expecting government to change their mandate policy, are you? Because you see, they've been set up by the corporations, the pharmaceutical corporations, who want to push their drugs and surgeries. They have a depopulation agenda. Bill Gates said that himself, right? The computer operator, Bill Gates, who set up all these shots because he identified with being a doctor. No, his whole purpose of vaccines was to help depopulate the planet. He said that on a YouTube video. So again, if you don't know that information, you'll be injecting yourself and thinking it's healthcare because the government told you it was, or the television told you it was, right? They're used to control your mind and control your behavior, but you can expand beyond that. But you can only expand when you let go of the resentment and the blame and shame, like government is tyrannical. No, the government is paid to carry through a certain agenda. Medical doctors are evil. No, they have to do these injections and they have to offer these injections in order to keep their license. That's just a fact. So are you going to listen to what they're saying, or are you going to, research yourself about these chemicals and make a smart decision? So when you're, like I said yesterday, when you're in blame and shame, whether it's about something that's happened in your personal life, your mother or your brother or your husband or whatever, or you're blaming and shaming the fourth dimension. It was the religion that screwed me up. It's the government that made me lose my job. It's the music and the entertainment and the radio station told me to inject myself, right? If you're blaming, you can't come to these higher dimensions. The only way is through here. Love, I don't know how to make a symbol for grace, maybe hands praying, but love and grace. And that is the way out. That is the way out of the matrix. So if you are expecting the government to change, you'll probably be paying taxes to the government. And what do they do with your taxes? They buy bioweapons and they're, weather modifying our atmosphere. So once you know the information, it helps you make smarter choices about where to go from here. So fifth dimension is really your ticket out of the matrix. 528 hertz, your heart resonance. So that's why love and grace is so important. The sixth dimension is geometry. And the seventh dimension is sound. So this is why sound is so important. This is why I feel like now I've moved from physical work into sound healing. Because sound affects matter. And we know that in cymatics, right? If you put some sand on a vibration plate and play a pure tone underneath, it forms a geometrical pattern. So if we can use sound, imagine what happens to our cells and our matter, our body. Maybe we can entrain a different pattern. I can already feel, even just in this 30 seconds, I can feel I'm calmer just with that tone playing. And again, we can use that more profoundly in the sound baths that I'm doing. I use a higher frequency that resonates with the crown to sort of open. Maybe I can play this one so you can see the difference. And then there's all sorts of different bowls, but the idea is that the sound affects matter. So instead of looking at treating matter with matter, drugs and surgery, low density items, if we can work from a top down, right? Sound. And I think it was, let me just share some other resources. Tuning the Human Biofield by Eileen Day Makuzak. That was a great book that I read about 10 years ago about frequency and using tuning forks in the biofield. So this is how they can, again, remember how I said this fourth dimension can be used to heal or harm. This is how they're affecting us right now, is through the biofield, through frequency, like in the Wi-Fi, the smart meters, the smart watches, smart technologies. They're affecting your biofield. AT&T has a patent now to mind control using phones. So imagine if you could turn off the Wi-Fi signal on your phone and you're playing, 432 hertz music. You can still use the same modality. You can just choose, right, a different path. So in this book, Shifting Frequencies, Jonathan Goldman, I love this book too. And one of my favorite quotes was that sounds are the language of light. Sounds are the language of light. So you can change matter using sound. And I think that's why sound healing is so popular. Cosmic Octave is another book by Custos. Again, these are some of the books that I've referenced in my book, but he gives different planets and also the resonance or the frequencies of the different planets. So you can see how, and who was it that said that? Max Planck, I think. Quantum physicist Max Planck, upon receiving the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1918, he said, "We have now discovered there's no such thing as matter. It's all just different rates of vibration designed by an unseen intelligence." So if we can change the vibration, we change matter. So we're working from a top-down process. And this is how we influence the 4D. Because again, the government has an agenda and they're getting paid to do shots. I know this because I tried the bottom-up approach and kept hitting my head on the umbrella. You have to find kind of a different path. You have to find your sovereignty. And instead of giving up your power, this is what sovereignty is. It's owning your power. And in the book, I give references. Jason Stone's book, The Sovereignty Handbook. Chris Smith did a great video with Sovereign Pete. I put in his website, again, as a resource, to teach you these things. You see, if you're using the word God instead of Great Spirit, they have you under their umbrella with their spelling, just with the lingo, right? If you're using government, if you're using the word citizen or people, or you're signing something, right, as a slave signature, they have you under their corporate umbrella. And even if you, like I did, helped start the Atlantic Common Law Assembly, it's still under the umbrella. And then I, reached out a little further and birthed myself in the post office through doing kind of a blood print, and birthed myself so I didn't have a birth certificate within the corporation. All those things are still on the umbrella. They're still under the umbrella. The only way out is love and grace and owning your own power, not submitting to a consciousness, whether it's a church or a government or a job or a priest or a pope or a prime minister, whoever it is, not surrendering your power to a consciousness less than your own. So I think that's one of the biggest lessons in the book, is really finding your own authentic soul and your own power, authoring your own life. So the book, 8 Steps to Awakening Your Highest Potential, is a spiritual guide. It's a map and a mirror for awakening humanity and blending sacred wisdom, astrology, modern metaphysical science, to activate your intuition and your healing and your divine remembrance. You see, that umbrella keeps you small. That umbrella keeps your vision limited. It keeps you in a lower density and a lower consciousness. So the things I put in the book will be from a very different sources. For example, that 6D, the geometry, that's where the Ka body, or what the ancient Egyptians called the Ka body, which is like your higher self, your higher spiritual body, is in the 6th dimension. So there's tools and using sound, ways that you can move out of your dense 3D linear structure into a timeless space. And chapter 3 talks about aligning to the cosmos, and we look at calendars and moon cycles and universal and earth time, which are a little different. So Christianity, Judaism, Egyptian symbology and sound healing, clan mother documents that really helped open my eyes to the changes in religion. Because a lot of the changes, right, they'll try to hide. You're not going to find it on the internet. But now if you dig deeper into more ancient documents, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, for example, or the Nag Hammadi libraries, you'll see some of the older books that were, taken out of the Bible and buried, and you'll see more balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Jesus, Sophia, Mary Magdalene has sort of equals. We're not putting anyone above the other. Divine and cosmic awareness is for anyone to, jump out of and welcome into your life. But also Edgar Cayce and some of this more esoteric, let's say, readings. Even Barbara Hand Clow and Jerry Clow are more esoteric. Maybe she has an indigenous background too, which I really relate to and appreciate. So it helps you rise beyond the duality. I said that in a previous video. Why? Because this is the duality. The duality is 4D. This is the collective mindset. And you can choose to create your own reality, or you can choose to stay within the bounds of their umbrella. So it helps you rise beyond the duality. Reclaim your sovereignty, what I just said, knowing that the power is within you. And your power is your heart, is to be able to love and to have gratitude. You see, these powers down here, they're below heart. They don't have their own connection to source. They can't feel love. They can't feel grace. In fact, they harness the human energy and your emotions in order to survive, right? The government needs your tax money. The church needs you to pay the way to heaven, or they can't survive. So they often just survive based on your creative talents and your energy. But know that you're above that. Your love and wisdom puts you above that umbrella. So to reclaim your sovereignty, and then you can participate consciously within the ascension of our humanity, which we are right now. Someone else sent me a video, Dan sent me a video, that we're all connected with 6 degrees of separation. So we don't need everybody to wake up right now. We just need to wake up a few people, right? And then it will just spread like wildfire. You only need a spark to get a fire going. So what if the life you've been living is below that umbrella? And the real awakening is just beyond what you can see and what you've been taught. How would that change things for you? So the book, I think, will help open your mind to maybe different concepts and principles. And it illuminates hidden patterns and offers practical tools, like the bowls that I've suggested, the Tibetan bowls, or chimes, or different tools, like I showed the rebounder, or the stability ball, or the thoracic extension, just practical tools to help awaken your intuition, your psychic abilities, and your cosmic awareness. So when you go to a sound bath healing, and my friend Sarah is doing a sound bath retreat for women, November the 9th. Maybe I'll post the invitation that she sent out to me, and you can experience that with her. But the sound bath healings are powerful. Why? Because they bypass your critical mind. You don't have to process any information. You don't have to even listen. You can go to sleep if you want. As I say to some people, they do in the sound baths. And the sounds penetrate your tissues. They affect your DNA. So this is why I think that the sound healing, again, will help awaken intuition, help awaken your psychic ability. What is psychic ability? It's being able to see out beyond what the controllers want you to see, basically. So everybody has it. It's just waking up to it, cosmic awareness. So thank you. I just, I really am so grateful for you all for being here, because it's our collective sharing that helps us all grow to new levels. And the feedback that I've gotten has really helped me not only feel purposeful in doing these videos for you, but has also given me more ideas to write about. Tomorrow will be the last video, and that will be at 2 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, 10 a.m. PST, and I'll be interviewing clan mother Karen, who's been one of the greatest mentors for me in the last 5 years in helping guide me with clan mother documents, also the Genius Biofeedback, which is a tool that we're going to talk about tomorrow. It's a biofeedback tool. It's a quantum healing tool that you can download from the internet and you can have for yourself. It's or you can, sign up to have a consult with her. So it'll be an interesting meeting, I think, because Karen is just a wealth of knowledge. She was a nurse for 40 years. She's a quantum teacher, quantum healing teacher, and has a vast amount of knowledge. So if you're able to tune in, if not, you can catch the replay. I'm hoping it's going to be Facebook Live if we can work it out. If not, we'll do a Zoom and then I'll upload it later. But that'll be the last one in the series, and then I'll be away for a week taking care of my dad, and then I'll be back the following week to talk more about the book. And again, I so appreciate the feedback and your support, the Inner Book Circle. I'm just loving the conversation in there and the feedback. And if you're interested in the product guide where I give you, so that's another thing with these bowls, you can go on Amazon and you can buy a bowl for $20, but it may not be tuned to 432 Hertz. So it may not help. So these bowls were sourced from the Himalayas, and Eye Singing Bowls. Rain Gray is the name of the musicologist that actually make sure that these bowls are resonating at 432 Hertz. So the quality of the instruments are really important. It's quite an investment, but it's worth it. You're worth it. So thank you all for being here. I'd invite you to reach for the stars, envision and achieve your personal best. And most of all, enjoy the journey. This is Dr. Dina signing out.